All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a look at an absolutely iconic piece of movie fashion, but we're going to treat it like a fascinating case study. This is all about soft tissue stabilization and, honestly, how pure physics can make the seemingly impossible possible. So let's just dive right in. The dress Anna de Armas wears in No Time to Die. I mean, it's not just a gown, right? It's basically a brilliant engineering puzzle. It completely defies gravity while she is kicking, spinning, and fighting through an entire action sequence. So how in the world does it stay perfectly in place? That is exactly what we're here to figure out. Okay, first up, let's analyze the forces that we can actually see. We're going to treat the dress itself as an external system. Think of it as this delicate structure of silk and seams that's in a constant battle with the downward pull of gravity. You know, most clothes, they rely on something rigid, like an underwire, or maybe a full back for support. But this dress, it has neither of those. All of its stability comes from the tensile strength of the fabric itself, basically its ability to be pulled and stretched without ripping apart. This right here illustrates a fundamental rule of physics. For anything to stay put, the downward force of gravity has to be perfectly balanced by an equal and opposite upward force. So for, say, a box on a table, that upward push is called the normal force. Simple enough. But for a backless dress, well, it gets a little more complicated. So for this dress, that critical upward force comes from tension. Those super thin straps, which are anchored right at the shoulders, they act just like the cables on a suspension bridge, constantly pulling the entire weight of the gown straight up. So when you break it down, you've got three key elements creating this first layer of stability. You've got the shoulders acting as the anchor points, you could call them the fulcrum. Then you have the straps providing that vertical tension. And finally, the fabric is cut on a bias, which lets it stretch and cling to the body, creating a ton of friction that just stops it from sliding around. But here's the thing. Those external forces, that's only half the story. The real secret, the magic behind this dress's stability, is hidden in its internal rigging. Because let's be real, the fabric alone is just not going to be enough, especially not for a James Bond action scene. So, and this is absolutely crucial, any kind of support system has to be completely invisible. The silk is so thin that a normal bra or even some sewn-in cups would totally ruin the whole look. The answer is a really clever system that's applied directly to the body. This internal rigging really comes down to two different kinds of special tape. First, you've got fashion tape. That's a double-sided adhesive that pretty much glues the edges of the dress to the skin to stop any gaps from forming. But the real heavy lifter here is the body tape, and that's not for the dress at all. It's for creating the entire underlying structure. And this is just brilliant. It shows you exactly how that structure gets built. Step one is pretty straightforward. It's for modesty and just creating a smooth surface. Then, strips of that body tape are used to anchor the tissue in place. And finally, you create lift by pulling upward from the base all the way toward the shoulder. You are literally engineering an invisible bra right onto the skin. Okay, so let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. We've got the external forces from the dress, and we've got the internal forces from all that rigging. How do they combine to create a system that's perfectly stable and totally motion-proof? First, you have the constant, relentless downward force of gravity. It's pulling on both the fabric of the dress and, of course, the body itself. Now, working directly against gravity is the upward force of tension. And this is coming from two sources that are working together. You've got the straps of the dress pulling the fabric up and the internal body tape pulling the tissue up. And finally, to make sure nothing slides around or gaps open, you have these inward and frictional forces. The fashion tape gives you adhesion, sticking the fabric right where it needs to be, while that bias-cut silk creates friction by hugging the body. These forces stop any side-to-side movement. So what happens when all of these forces, downward gravity, upward tension, and inward adhesion, are perfectly balanced? The entire system achieves what's called static equilibrium. It's like a perfectly balanced seesaw. It means even with all the kicking and spinning, the net force is zero, so nothing moves out of place. So, after breaking down this pretty complex physics problem, what's the big takeaway? Why does any of this really matter? It matters because this wasn't just a dress. It was a piece of high-performance equipment. I mean, think about it. The film's costume department had to create 10 different versions of this gown, including special stunt dresses with extra reinforcement. That proves this was a super meticulous prototyping and engineering process. So, that impossible dress, It's really just a clever application of some pretty basic physics principles: tensile strength, balanced forces, and a little bit of hidden engineering. It's a great reminder that sophisticated engineering is all around us, a lot of times in the most unexpected places. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday objects are actually masterpieces of applied physics, just hiding in plain sight?